Hello, my name is Lotito, and I'm going to be giving you an informative speech today about engineering. Now, engineering, that's a broad term. People think a lot of different things. It could be anything from building something, from a design, or to what I'm going to talk to you specifically about today. And when I say engineering, I'm talking about I actually drove a locomotive, jumped on the train, went and drove it to all the cars, picked up cars, took them to the other side. So I worked at a place called the Huntsman plant in Odessa, Texas. In 2007, it was bought out by the Flint Hills Resources Corporation. I worked there for both companies from 2006 to 2007, right before I joined the Air Force. My job there as an engineer, we had two different positions. We had the engineer, we had the point man, and he worked in a tandem two-person team. What we did is, while one person was in the locomotive, the other person would be the point man on the ground. And you always stood caddy corner to each other. So the engineer was on the front left, the point man was always on the back right. And this is so that way the point man could look all the way back to the end of the cars and he could see everything on one side of the train. That way, if there was anything dangerous on that side, the engineer would be able to see it. The point man on the back side did the same thing for the other side. So that way there was always a checks and balances of safety for the rail cars. Now, at this specific plant, we had a whole bunch of different chemicals that we used. It was a plastic pellet plant. So all the chemicals on the plant went towards making plastic pellets. So we loaded different things such as butane, polyethylene, octane, polypropylene, and liquid oxygen. All these different chemicals would be combined into a rail car. So we'd have these big rail cars that could load up to 330,000 gallons of all these different chemicals. So what we would do is we would take these cars, we would call them empties, take these tank cars to the appropriate station, load it up with it. That would take like 5 hours to load. Once that was loaded, we'd take those and we'd get those ready to ship out. Those plants would be, or those cars would be picked up by Union Pacific. They had real big engines. Also, what we did is before they would pick those up, we had what was called dirties and then loaded cars. Now these are hopper cars. So with those, some of those tanks that had the chemicals on the inside, when we took them to the other side of the plant, they would use that to make the plastic pellets, the ones that we made in-house. We would take the dirty cars over there that were empty. They'd clean those cars out, literally just wash them, kind of like the inside of a car. They'd load the plastic pellets, then they'd bring it back to us. So what we would do with those cars is we would take all the loaded cars that are going out to customers. Then we'd also take the chemicals to other plants that would make a different sort of plastic with it. So in all actuality, there was at least 8 different types of chemicals that we would make to make these plastic pellets. Now these plastic pellets, depending on which customer it went to, would be made for a multiple of different things. Everything from your Coke bottle to plastic wiffle ball bats to Tupperware to any of those types of things. That's what we would use these plastic pellets for. Now the fun part about that job was, you got to drive a train. We would go down and there's a lot of walking involved. You would walk all the way down. Sometimes it'd be like a mile, all just to get the right car, because sometimes the customer would make an order and then they would place a separate order. So instead of us having to ship 2 times to them, we would hold that order until we could get the right car. So we'd ship them out and put them in a different yard. So then what we would have to do is we would look down our roster of where these cars were. We'd say, okay, so this is where this one is. Then we'd go down, walk all the way, uncouple that car, pull it out, and then set it out to the side. Then after we did that, we put everything right back in, and then we take that loaded car, put it with the shipment for the same company, and then we'd get ready to get them out. Union Pacific would come into our lot, and then they would get them ready, and then they would ship them out to the customer. We only did in-house things. So all in all, I loved being an engineer. I got to drive a train. My youngest son, Nicholas, got to see me on the train before. Got to honk the horn. It's all sorts of cool stuff. Driving a train is awesome. Engineering is fun. At least my part of engineering, what I did. So if you'd like to learn a little bit more about engineering, you can also check out the Huntsman or Flint Hills Resources plant, or you could go to Union Pacific and learn about a different kind of engineering, being on the railroads that service everywhere in the continental United States. Thank you for listening. I hope I've informed you a little bit more on my specific type of engineering.